today, so I'm going to get started right away. Please go ahead and put in the attendance code, and let's get started. So the attendance code is 8677. It's also on the blackboard if you miss it. All right, so let's few housekeeping things first. So the final project, I went ahead and I put in the final project requirements on the class website here. You can see it right over here. It's not due for another month or so, but if you want to start thinking about it, that would be a good idea. Just kind of read through the requirements and think about kind of the back of your head. Just always think about what you want to, you don't have to have anything formally set yet, but just try to have some ideas as you're doing your other assignments or other work from other classes. I also, it's not posted on the afternoon section, but I'll post it in a bit. The next assignment 10, is the final project proposal. You don't have to worry about it right now. It's not due until after the midterm is over and everything, so you don't even have to look at it right now, but I just want you to know that it is. I went ahead and just put it up there earlier if you want to work on it earlier, if it's better for you to work on it now than later. The proposal, you don't have to write any code. You're writing basically write a document, a Google Doc, or some kind of document, and answering a few questions like what's the final project that you want to make. So it's not on the afternoon section website, but it is definitely there in the morning one. So I'll go ahead and put that over as soon as possible. For the final project, it is due on Friday, December 13th. I just realized that's Friday the 13th. Oh, maybe it's bad luck. I don't know. All right, so there is an extension available, as I talked about on Tuesday. There's going to be presentations available on Thursday for this class, and it's extra credit if you want to present, but everybody does have to be here. And the requirements, you can read through. There's quite a bit of information, but ultimately the requirements are pretty broad and pretty generic. For example, you're going to have to have at least 4 pages, right? So they could be about any pages you want. It could be any topic, but you have to have 4 pages, right? So these requirements are meant to be very generic. So it's really up to you on how you want to craft your final project. There's a lot of other requirements here. Of course, you have to have a database, right? Of course, you have to use PHP, and you have to choose a couple things that you want to add on. And then if you have no idea where to start, on the very, very bottom of the requirements here, I have links to past final projects. So you can kind of click around. I'll let you go ahead and click around and see I try to pick some variety so they're not all the same kind of project. So go ahead and click around and see what if you need some inspiration, you can kind of take a look at those. The best final projects I've seen are always students that actually kind of like their final project, right? So because it's so broad, you can really do anything you want with this project. So if you have a student org you're part of, or you're part of or maybe you have a startup with a friend or something, or or your friends are starting a business or whatever it is, if you have something that's interesting and that's happening in your life elsewhere and you want to use it in your final project, that's perfectly fine. I think that's probably a really good idea to kind of combine your interests, whatever you're interested in outside of school or outside of this class, and to combine it with final project. Usually students get the best results doing that, because you're going to be working on this final project for about a month, and might as well you want to do something that you kind of enjoy at the very least, that's at least somewhat interesting to you. So get creative and do something that you're kind of proud of, and if it comes out really well, you can always share it with. This can be a portfolio piece for when you when you're interviewing or when you're applying to different internships and jobs as well. So some students for the final project, they want to make their own personal website as their final project. That's great as well. You just got to be a little bit creative when it comes to personal websites, because personal websites don't tend to have a lot of data, right? You're not using a database necessarily, so you got to be a little creative on how you're going to meet the database requirement, but it's totally doable. If you want to make your final project be basically your personal website or your portfolio, you totally can. That's another common thing that students tend to do. All right, so that's final project for you. Again, it's not due for a while, but if you want to just start thinking about it, kind of just thinking about what you might want to make, it might be a good idea to kind of glance over the requirements, so you can start having maybe some inspiration or some ideas hit while you're working on other things. All right, okay, then that's final project for you. But today we are going to continue and we're going to finish up the core part, the last part of CRUD part 2, the second part, and this is going to kind of tie up all of our. This kind of closes up the end of our server side unit. After the midterm is next week, by the way. Next Thursday. After the midterm, all the topics are going to be kind of just more like fun topics, extra stuff to put on your website. We're going to talk about how to create like a user system. We're going to talk about sessions and things like that for fun. But today is like our last main core functionalities of the backend. So if you can please click on today's lecture notes, let's go ahead and download our starter file as usual. Let's go ahead and make sure our map is uploaded or starting up. And let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and download this, direct download. Let's download this in our usual. I'll go to the PM class. And then let's make sure it's downloading. Go ahead and unzip it. And there we go. We have lecture 18. Awesome. Lecture 18. There it is. Okay, and then we have a bunch of files, as you can see. And let's make sure our map is working. I think I need to change I got to change this over to from the morning section to the afternoon section. Select, got to click OK, and then make sure my server is running. And once we're here, let us go open up our local host and let's go to lecture 18. And lecture 18 starter files, we're going to start up that same homepage, index.php, with the 2 buttons. Okay, so make sure your map is running and all that. And in your Sublime, you could go ahead and start opening up Sublime as well. Let me go ahead and close this. And this is from the morning section, so let me remove this real quick here. And then once you're in Sublime, you can drag and drop that lecture 18 folder into Sublime as usual, and then we're going to see all the files show up on the sidebar. And we're going to start with index.php like we did before, just because that's kind of like our home page. Okay, while you're getting set up, there's your attendance code again, 867. It's also on the Blackboard as well. All right, so as you're getting the starter files set up, getting your map set up and stuff, let me go over some slides because we are going to be talking about a few things that may or may not be new to you. All right, so there's 3 main things we're going to talk about today: is how to update records, and how to delete records. Those are 2 main things. So we're continuing with our song application. We're going to add update functionality and delete functionality. And the third thing we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about how to write prepared statements to prevent SQL injection. So we kind of saw on Tuesday a little bit on how easily users can break our SQL statements, which can be bad, right? So we're going to talk about using PHP, how to use something called prepared statements to prevent prevent users from messing up our precious SQL. So we've been talking about our CRUD, and we did create and read. Now we got to the last 2 pieces. It's update and delete. And we are going to continue down this workflow. This is kind of how all of our pages are going to be organized. We're going to start with home, right? And then the user can either just go and add things, or they can search things. And the way we're going to do edit is after the users search a specific song, we're going to allow users to delete and edit depending on what they search for. So we'll take a look at that. Actually, why don't I show it to you right now while we're going? So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be able to search for songs. And let's say I'm just going to search for all songs. And notice this here, notice how I have a delete button for each song. So if I click on delete, then I'm going to delete this track called For Those About to Rock. If I click delete here, I'm going to delete The Fast as a Shark, so on and so forth. If I click on the detail of a track, I'm going to be able to see the details. And then down here, take a look at this, I'm going to be able to edit this track specifically. So I designed it in a way that we want to be careful when we're updating or deleting things, right? I designed it in a way so that users can only update 1 song at a time. So I'm going to be clicking edit this track, and then users are going to, and notice how all the information is pre-filled, right? And then I can change my drop down. I can change the name of the song or whatever it is. And then when I click submit, I'm going to be able to, there you go, it's edited and now it's changed. Oh, it did not change. Wait. This is maybe a case of, there you go. So sometimes when you don't see things show up, change automatically, I wrote a Piazza post about this, you might have to hard refresh. Hard refresh is shift refresh. Click on the refresh icon so that the latest and the greatest is showing up on your browser. Anyway, so that's kind of our workflow today. We're going to be hanging out in the details page. We're going to be deleting things from the detail page. We're going to be searching for things. We're going to delete things. And we're going to edit things from our detail page as well. All right. So that's kind of our plan today. And then one last topic we're going to be talking about beyond edit and update is something called SQL injection. And maybe you have heard about this in other classes just because security is such a big topic these days. But let's take a look at this XKCD comic. And anybody seen this before, by the way? No one? What? Okay. Do you know what XKCD is? Okay. Thank goodness. Okay. Okay. It's not like, yeah, this is not dinosaur age, right? Okay. So I'll take a quick read here and think about why this is funny. Oh, I don't think we ever talked about drop table. If you're wondering what the heck is that. Drop table means delete a table. Same thing as like delete the table. Okay. Anybody miss it? Maybe some of you have a guess on what happened there? So ITP is considering changing our name because ITP is like IT is no longer what we really teach, and people were joking like, hey, we should like rename our like department to like whatever technology and drop table classes, and then USC will wreak havoc. And anyway, all right. So if you're like, what's going on? Let's talk about this. So obviously, like they named their stuff something ridiculous with all this stuff, but this kind of looks like SQL, right? So this is kind of what happened here. Let's take a look at this. So ultimately, let's think about this. Like, you know how we're writing our SQL? We're allowing users, depending on what the users typed in, we're allowing them to like kind of insert things to our SQL, right? So what I mean by this is this. So we do stuff like this, right? We do like on Tuesday we did insert into like a table and then like values, and then we concatenate a bunch of post variables, right? And this post can be whatever the user wants. Like the user can put in your name, right? They could do whatever they want. They could put a bunch of single quotes and break my SQL. They could do a lot of different things if they were really malicious and if they were like, they knew what SQL was, of course. Not everybody knows what SQL is, but if they did. So what happens when you put in, when you have someone named Robert like that, so this post variable gets translated into that, right? So his name is Robert, single quote, colon, parentheses, colon, drop table students, and they even have the sense to comment out the rest of the SQL statement. So this is going to be a valid. So we are going to insert Robert's name into this table, student table, and then because he has a semicolon at the end of the Robert's name, you're going to this is also valid. We're going to drop this table as well. And this is totally valid. It will, if you ran this code, it will drop your students table. And what the heck did you just do? They just wiped out the entire record of students. Hopefully, whoever's taking care of the database has a backup or something, right? So SQL injection is a real thing, and this is how a lot of malicious hackers get into people's databases, or they try to break your code and stuff. Unfortunately, this is more common than ever before. So, obviously this is a problem, and as a back-end developer, if something like this happened in your code, this is such a very stressful day. So, to prevent this from happening, we're going to be using something called prepared statements, which essentially, literally what it sounds like, to prevent SQL injection attacks, these prepare statements, what the code is going to prepare all of our SQL for us. Instead of relying solely on what the user gives us, we're going to set a little bit of restriction. So this is what our what a typical SQL looks like, with select from tracks, and then you can put your genre ID and composer like that, right? That's our typical SQL statement. But instead, we're going to write something like this. We're going to be using these methods, still part of MySQLi. We're going to be using methods like prepare, bind param, execute, and so on and so forth. And this is going to allow us to create a sanitized, we're going to make sure the user input is correct, it's valid, it's not like anything weird. If they're giving us a string, it's a string, right? It's not going to be part of our SQL statement. It's just a string, right? So we're going to be doing something like this. And these are like the 3 steps of creating a prepared statement. Let's take a look at this code here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're still going to write SQL. You know, this is still SQL, select star from, right? This is still the SQL that we know. However, instead of allowing users to directly put their variables in here like this, like instead of concatenating what the user variable in here, we're going to put like little placeholders, literally a question mark. We're going to say like select from tracks where genre ID equals question mark or composer is question mark. That's the first step. We're just going to prepare a statement. Second step then is to, the second step then is to, we gotta tell the statement what these question marks are. So the next one is bind param. We're gonna use a method called bind param. And the first parameter is actually kind of important here. We can also specify what kind of variables are allowed, what kind of variable types are allowed. So in this case, select from tracks where genre ID. We know that genre ID is gonna be an integer, right? It has to be an integer, it can't be a string. So we can enforce it by saying I, putting I there. We're saying the first question mark is an integer, I, and the second question mark, composer, is a string, right? So it's S for string. So this we're just saying, we're defining, hey, this is the variable type for the first question mark, S is the variable type for the second question mark. So we're being extra secure here. And then comma, and then the next several parameters are whatever the value is that's going to take place of the question mark. So then over here we do like genre, and over here we do composer, right? And then so what bind param does is it's going to double check, make sure that whatever the user gave as a genre or the composer, it's going to double check that first it's like an integer and a string, and it's going to make sure it's an integer, and it's going to make sure it's a string. It's not going to allow it to become part of the SQL statement. It's going to sanitize everything. Any like single quotes, backslashes, anything, or semicolons, it's going to get rid of it, or it's going to not get rid of it, but it's going to make sure it's actually a semicolon. It's not part of, it's not going to become part of the SQL statement. And then eventually, after that, everything is kind of the same. After that, we run execute, and then we get the result, and then we run a while loop to fetch a soch thingy, and then get all the results, so on and so forth. So only this part is a little bit different, this bind param. So we're going to try playing around with that today. I hope it's pretty straightforward. And then in your assignment, I'm not going to force you to write prepared statements for everything, but just for the insert part, you have to use a prepared statement. Everything else, you can still use whatever the original statement. Okay. Alrighty, so let's dive into our code then. Let's try this out. If you can please open up index.php. Index.php is going to be literally our index.php, our home page right over here. It's not doing much. Let's go ahead and search for a song. Oh yeah, we gotta put in our credentials real quick. Let's go ahead and put in our credentials real quick. Go ahead and open up search form and search results, and let's go ahead and type in our credentials real quick. Okay, I'm gonna just copy this over my search form and my search results, and then let's make sure that my search form I can actually see search. And let's go ahead and do this here. Okay. And then if I just search for whatever, with nothing filled out, I should get some results. And I see a lot of results here. And in this results page, let's take a look here. I have like a delete button for each of them. We'll come back to delete. We're going to first take care of update. And then after we do update, we'll come back to delete. But notice how I added like a delete button for each track here right now. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and click on, oh yeah, I changed this earlier. Let's go ahead and just click on any of the song, maybe like Breaking the Rules. Okay, I like that one. Let's go click on Breaking the Rules. Oh yeah, we got to change that too. Oh man, okay. And then open up your details.php. Okay, and over here, let's go ahead and use the same credentials that we put in here. Let's put it here. Okay. So search form, search results, details. We've already done all this in class before, We've seen the details page before as well. This is all the code is the same as what we did on Tuesday. The only difference is this bit here. And look at this new button. It's like a yellow button called Edit This Track. So I added this yellow button at the very bottom. So if you scroll down to, I think I put it in, where did I put it? It's like way down here. Okay, it's like around line 129 or so. It's way over here. This is the Edit This Track button. Okay, and if you notice, this is even though it looks like a button, it's actually an anchor link. So it's a link that looks like a button. It's like a yellow button, but it's actually a link. And it's set. It's gonna. If I click on this, it's gonna send us to another page called editform.php. Let me try clicking on it. It's gonna send me to editform.php, and editform.php is gonna be like I need credentials. Okay, let me. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up editform.php as well. Editform.php, and let us go ahead and connect the database real quick. All right. Okay. Cool. So this is we let's go backtrack just a little bit. So we were on the details page, and if you recall, we use this track ID 12, the URL parameter up here to say, hey, we're gonna look at the details of song with the primary key 12, and this is all the details. That's great. So however, when I'm going to edit this track, I'm going to enforce the user to only edit this track and this track only. Okay, so when I click edit this track, I also need to tell this page, this form here, that I need to continue to pass this information over. I need to tell my edit song, hey, I'm going to edit track ID, what was that, number 20. I need to continually pass this information over. So luckily, we can do this pretty easily. Back in my details page, right over here, right? This is still a link, so I can add. If you remember, for links, I can pass any variable I want by doing question mark and then putting in like the variable, the name here, track ID, right? And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab that information from my database. I think it was track ID. Not database. It's going to be track ID from the URL parameter, track ID. All right, let me go and move this over here. Okay, once I save this, let's go back to my details page. I'm going to go back to my details page. Now, I'm still, okay, so this track is breaking the rules. It has a track ID 12. Okay, notice how it says 12 up on the top. If I scroll down, I kind of hover over the button. Oh, you can't, okay, it's kind of hard to see here. Let's go ahead and do this. If I hover over this button, I'm going to see not the right thing. Oh, there it is. Okay, if I refresh, there we go. On the very bottom, it actually tells you, if I click on this link, where am I going to go to? So it's going to tell me if I click on this link, I'm going to go to editform.php. It's going to send over the same track ID up there, 12, where it's going to send it over to editform.php. Yes.
Where did you put in track ID equals again?
Right where the button is.
In details.
Details. Yes. Yeah.
So that was the only change you made.
Yep, that's the only change I made. Yep. I'll go ahead and put a comment in here. Alrighty, so when I click on edit this track, I'm now going to be able to go to editform.php, but now I'm going to also have access to that track. So we're like continuously passing down the track ID from one page to another, because if I'm going to edit this song, I'm going to need to know which track I'm editing, so that's very normal. That's like normal thing. Like I need to have this info here. Are we okay there? What would you like to see? Yes? What was that over there? Oh, this page? The only thing I added was this button here at on details.php. Or I didn't even add a button. I just added the URL parameter at the end. Let's let Newton be a little bit mobile back there. Do you guys mind if No, it's not okay. Let's let Newton, our favorite TA, let's let him go on the edge and let the three of you, if you don't mind, just moving one. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. And Kyle's sick today, so he's not here. And Tava's at a wedding. Oh shoot, so it's only Newton today. So let's let him be mobile as possible. Okay, what's up?
She has a lot of stuff in her edit form. She said she downloaded this. What form is this?
We're not at the form yet. We're at details.
Oh, this
Yeah.
page?
Yeah. We're not there yet.
Oh, so this should be details?
Whenever I click on when I follow your process, I haven't added any code. It just goes. It goes like if I go edit this track, right? Isn't that what we're doing that?
Go back to, you gotta go to results first.
Result.
Yeah. And then click on one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I'll do
Edit,
this track, and then that's when it pulls up that.
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
changed anything. It's fine.
It's okay. I think
fine.
I think you have maybe an older version of my code, but it's okay. The only thing we care about is that we see a track ID up here right now.
And it's fine for now. If I
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
add
Because we're
anything.
not gonna fill the entire form anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so if you see a lot of fields here, it's totally okay. All I care right now about is I see a track ID up there, right? I see the track ID. I'm great. I haven't done anything with my edit form yet. Awesome. All right, so what is my edit form doing? My edit form is I don't even need any of this really, but okay. What is my edit form doing? My edit form is going to tell me how. It looks like I'm only going to be able to edit the track name, the genre, and the composer. If you see more fields than this, by the way, it's okay. We're not going to edit everything anyway. But okay, so now I'm at this page, and it kind of reminds you of the add song page, right? Where you can the user can type in the track name and add a song and composer and whatnot. However, this is not add, this is edit. So we're going to be editing a record a song or a track that already exists. So to make this a little bit more user-friendly, instead of putting out blank forms like this, I want to pre-fill these form fields so that the user can just edit directly. They don't have to go back and try to remember what it was, right? So let's make this a little bit more easier. I'm going to go ahead and pre-fill the information on this page. So the next thing we're going to do here is, first of all, actually, before I even do anything else, first of all, I'm going to do a quick if-else statement here. I need to check that the track ID has been passed to this page, right? Because if I don't know the track ID, then there's no way I can edit anything. So I'm going to do a quick if statement as usual, and we're going to do our favorite isSet function. We're just going to do, and this is a slightly different way of, we're going to write this a little bit different. We're going to say if it's not set, we're going to go ahead and get the track ID. If it's not set, or if it's empty, okay. Okay, we're gonna, we're just gonna echo out invalid track, and I'm just gonna exit, because it's a slightly different way to handle the error, maybe not the best way, but basically I'm saying if I don't get a track ID on this page, there's no reason to go on. We're just gonna quit. So if I do track ID, invalid track, right? It's just gonna show invalid track, and that's kind of the end of it. This is probably not the best way to handle an error, but I'm just showing you that this is also possible. Right? Otherwise, connect to the database, and etc. Oh wait, no, we don't even need an else statement at this point anymore because I just said if, exit, otherwise we're just going to continue, so that's fine. Okay, so before I go ahead and grab the details, there's one more thing I want to do here. So this has been getting kind of annoying that we've been copy-pasting our passwords over and over again, and it seems like a waste of like code, right? Waste of lines. So I'm going to show you quickly how to import one file to another file, so we don't have to repeat things like this over and over again. If you can look at your folder structure real quick, notice this config folder, right? In my config folder, there's a file called config.php. Let's go ahead and pop that open real quick and take a look at this. This is something new we haven't seen before. It's called define. What looks like a method is what they do is they define something called constants. Maybe you've seen constants in other programming languages before, but PHP has constants as well. All it means is constants are still variables. They're variables, essentially. They can store strings, numbers, whatever, but they're constant, meaning they never change. You can't simply change a constant. Once it's set, and you don't ever use it again. So for something like our database credentials, that's typically the case. Once it's set, you're probably not going to change it again, right? At least definitely in your code, at the code level, you're not going to change any credentials. So let's go ahead and declare some constants here. This is the host. The user is going to be your user. Okay, don't put mine in, put yours. The password is going to be, not this one. My password is whatever, 2019. The database name is Song Database. So now we have defined these constants. These are going to be used, once I've declared them, they can't be, another piece of code cannot change my constants. And we like to put, we like to use capital letters, it's not required, but we like to use capital letters when we're using constants, just so it's obvious that it's a constant. So this is not required. So this is the name of the constant, this is the value of the constant. Name, value, so on and so forth. I'm going to save this. Now that I have this saved, I'm going to close it. I don't really need it anymore. What I'm going to do over here in my edit form is I'm going to include the in a sense, like import is another word for it, include is another word for it. Basically, we're saying whatever was in my config.php file, we're going to bring it into this particular file so that we have access to it now. Then I don't need to do all this nonsense anymore. I don't need to write my variables over and over again. And by the way, you don't have to, but I like to typically, anything I require, I just do it at the top. This is not required. It's not required to put require at the top. But I like to do it just because I can see right away. That's like the first thing I know. Oh, I know that config has been being used in this file. And then here I can now do in my database connection, right? In my database connection, instead of using these like local small variables, now I could put my constants in here. And constants, you don't need to put $sign on them. But that's another thing about constants. So I can do something like this. A little bit less code. Okay, to quickly double check that this is working, I'm going to pop over to my edit page, just refresh it, and good, it looks like everything is still working correctly. So this require statement is interesting. Literally, it's saying this file is required for this page. So if this config.php file did not exist, it's going to throw an error and it's going to break your page. So for example, let's say I made a typo and I put confi instead of config. If I refresh this right now, it's going to throw an error, fatal error, right? It's very serious. it's saying we couldn't find this page. So then notice how you don't see any of the other code. That's how serious it is when require fails. Like that's you really want to make sure you're using require is for pages that like absolutely have to be there. If it's not that important for it to be there, you could include. Include is another keyword. Include it's gonna throw warnings, but it won't throw a fatal error. So with warnings, you could actually just ignore warnings and continue on. So there are two different ways you can include files in a PHP file: is require or include. We're gonna require it because we must have our database credentials, right? Or else we can't even connect to the database. So there's no point of continuing on. So we're gonna require it in this case. Another use case for require is like when you have the same elements over and over again in your web page. For example, like a nav bar. You know how like a nav bar, if you have a website with 5 different pages, they all have the same nav bar though, right? And it's kind of annoying to have 5 different nav bars. So if you just have one file that has a nav bar and you require it in every single page, then you don't have to like have repetitive code over and over again. So require is pretty neat. We'll do a little bit more with require either next week or like the week after that or something like that. Yeah. But for now, this is good enough. Okay, finally, all right, we got all this set up. Now, finally, let's go get our song and let's go ahead and pre-fill out my form. Let's refresh this. So, I gotta spell this correctly. Let's go continue down this path here. So when I go to edit a song, I want to pre-fill this information with whatever the song that it is that I want to edit. So let's scroll down to, so we have all this SQL statements. So genre, notice how genre, right now we're seeing all the genres from the database, right? Because we ran a query that does that. Okay, so let's continue scrolling down, and let's, around line 45, I kind of have this comment for here. We're going to go ahead and go get the details of this track. Okay, for this piece, let's continue doing it the way we've always done it, just so we don't get confused right now. We're just going to go and write a SQL statement like this. Select from tracks, right, where track ID equals basically where track ID equals, essentially what I want to do is I want to go get my track ID. Okay, so the get variable is up here. That's the get here. So we gotta concatenate that, and then there we go. Okay, that looks about right. And once we have that, we're gonna go ahead and do our usual. We'll get the result. We're going to go send it off to we're going to go and query this. Okay, and then we got to do our usual, if it fails, then, like echo and complain. And we're going to exit this. Or let's make it singular, just result track, because we're only going to get one track back. Okay, so we're going to get we'll get one track back. Right, because we're only saying we want to only update one song at a time, so we're going to get information about one song back. So I can store it in a variable called row track or something. I can do results track. Let's go ahead and do the fetch assoc thing that we've seen all the time. And then, okay, there you go. Okay. Kind of review, we've done this before. We want to go get the details of the track. We want to query it, and then once we get a result back, we're going to store it in a variable called row track. Awesome. And I just want to make sure I'm actually getting this information back, right? So let's do row track. I'm just gonna dump it out real quick just to make sure I'm getting the track of this. Thank you. Perfect. So yes, now I'm getting information. I'm just dumping it out here before I even do anything with it. I just want to double check that I'm getting the right results. So I wrote this SQL statement. I'm saying, hey, get the information about this specific track. Query the result. Okay, let's go ahead and dump out what the result I just got. And take a look. We have like breaking the rules, right? Awesome. And then it's the media type is 1, genre ID is 1, like this is the composer, so on and so forth. And just to double check, I'm going to go back to like results. And I'm going to click a different song, maybe like Walk on Water. If I click on that song and I click on edit this track, oh great, now I'm seeing information about Walk on Water, right? Now it's not a different song. Right? So I'm just double checking that all of that information is correct. All right, cool. So now that I got all this information, now that I know that road track is giving me this information, I need to now go and fill it up. Like I want track name. I want it to say like the Walk on Water, right? I want it to pre-fill my form. So to pre-fill my form, we got to scroll down to the form. We got to scroll down to the HTML. And then scroll down. And where are we? We're right over here. This input tag, right? We have an input tag right over here. It has the name track name. I think this is the correct one. Okay, let me go ahead and just take the dedent this a little bit so we can see this a little better. Okay, so input. All right, so magically with input, it's very easy to work to pre-fill things. You can work. Remember the value attribute. Remember how even with JavaScript we did like document query selector get value and all that stuff all the time, or dot value all the time. Well, if I put value like hello or something, let's take a look at what happens. It gets pre-filled with hello, and notice how users can delete things off of it, right? You can edit this value attribute is like it sets it, and then you could edit it. Yeah, it's very nice. Yes.
What's the difference between values and placeholder?
Good question. Yeah. I'm glad you noticed that. So yeah, we've also worked with placeholder as well, right? Like track name, let's say. Right, so there is a difference. So hello, for value is literally what the value is in the text, so I could actually edit it, right? But placeholder shows up when the nothing is typed in, and you can't actually edit you can't edit the placeholder. It's literally a placeholder. That's it. It's just there. Whereas value is actually an editable attribute. Okay. Knowing this, we can kind of piece things together, right? We know that right now we know that we have gotten information about the track. Now all I have to do is display it right over here, and I could do that in my value attribute. So right in my value attribute, instead of hard coding hello, I'm gonna open up my PHP block. I'm gonna echo out, what was it called? A row track, and it's gonna be the name. It's called the key is name over here. Oh shoot, where'd it go? All right. Okay, so value, make it equal to row track. Wait, it is called row track, right? I want to double check. Row track right here. We're going to do that. Row track right here. And refresh. And yes, we got Walk on Water. Awesome. So we're pre-filling. Let me go ahead and put some comments in here. Pre-filling the text field with the track name. Okay, so then once I have this, then user can they can edit it and walk on whatever it is they want to edit to, walk on moon or something, whatever it is, they have the ability to edit. Here. It's pretty neat, right? It's just nice. And while we're here, let's go ahead and work on Composer. Is the same thing, right? Composer it's a text field, so we can do the same thing with Composer. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of copy that. Let's scroll down to my Composer. I think it's around line over here, the input tag. Okay, so the input tag is the text itself. So over here, I'm gonna simply put in value equals track name. What is the Composer called? Composer is called there you go, composer, just simply composer. And then now I'm going to see, cool, so Walk on Water, composed by blah, 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 and the user can edit this however they want. Okay, let me, just because I want to double check that this is actually working, I'm going to go to results and I'm going to click on a different song, Problem Child. Let's click on that one and then click on edit this track. There you go, Problem Child, and then composer's AC/DC. So. Any questions about this? Make sense so far, right? Okay, awesome. What about drop downs though, right? Drop downs are a little bit different. You can't just like fill a value necessarily because in a drop down you have all these different options. So that's a little bit like, how do we do that, right? So what I want to do then is, because I want to pre-fill, or in this case, I want to pre-select the genre. I need to make sure that when I'm editing Problem Child, okay, Problem Child has a genre ID 1. Good, 1 right here. 1 is probably rock. Yeah, 1 is rock. So I want it to show up like that. Like I want the genre to be pre-selected as well. So let's scroll to where my genre is. It's like around here. A lot of code here, but this is my select tag over here. Okay, so I want to what I want to do is I want to pre-select the genre of this track. All right, let's kind of try to remind ourselves of what's going on over here. So this while loop, first of all, if you recall this while loop, we did this last week. This while loop is going to run through all the results of the genre, and it's going to show me every single option tag. Shows me each individual these genre options. Okay. However, I don't care about all the other ones. I just want to show the genre that the song has. That the song has. So in this case, we got to kind of work with this here. Do you see this up here in the select one? Do you see this selected here? This is an attribute called selected. If you were curious on what that is, there's actually a purpose for this. So this selected attribute is what makes the genre, what makes it show up on my option value. Okay, so if I had blues, if I did like selected on blues, it would show up. That's the first thing that will show up. So we're going to be using this here. So I don't need this here anymore. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Okay, so I don't care about select one anymore. So I'm going to delete that from there. And then what I'm going to do in my while loop, right, okay, while I'm running through all my genres, okay, I got to only select one of them. I got to have one option tag to have my selected attribute. Right? So let's think about this. So in my while loop, I can have conditionals within my while loop. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do if else and if. Okay. All right. So for all the other genres, I don't care. We're just going to show the normal genre stuff. That's fine. However, there's one exception, right? So we're gonna run through my row, right? We're gonna run through my row as usual. However, if the genre ID of whatever I'm running through currently, if that matches the track's genre ID, okay, so still run through all my genres. But however, if my genre ID does match the genre ID of whatever this song is, I'm still going to show the option tag, right? Same thing. I'm still going to show it. However, I'm going to add one piece of information here. I'm going to add this selected, attribute right over here. So let me go and write some comments and right over here. If Okay, so the selected attribute, what it's going to do is it's going to make it show up first. So the only difference between this option tag and this option tag is that little selected attribute. That's the only thing. And then by magically, when I have select, it's going to just show up first. So I'll come back to the code in a second. Let me just test it real quick. So I'm going to just do a quick refresh. Great. So now if I look at problem child, it's pre-selects as rock. I still see all the other options, but the things that selected is rock. Okay, let me just to be extra sure, I'm gonna click on a different, maybe not a rock one, maybe like a jazz. I'm gonna click on the Pleasant Pheasant. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and edit this track, and then good. It says so the Pleasant Pheasant, the pre-selected track is the pre-selected genre is jazz. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions? Yes.
So you said selected. So just selected disabled uses like the preset starting point. So what is this? Just disabled.
Oh yeah, actually selected and disabled are two separate things. Yeah. It looks a little. Yeah, they're two separate things. Disabled just means you can't choose it, so it's just not letting you choose it. Yeah, you can put disabled on any option tag. Yeah. Good question. Yeah, they don't. I know. Actually, it should be like disabled equals true. Right? But like selected equals true or something. But yeah, it's simply selected.
My genre's always showing opera.
Always showing opera. Make sure, even though you pick a different song, so that means your if statement is a little off. Take a look at this. Make sure the row genre ID is equal to the genre ID of your row track. And then make sure this is there, right? I mean, that's kind of all I did. There's really nothing much else I did here. So it looks like Noon's going to try to help you out too. General questions about like how this works. So ultimately it is if else conditional statement. We're just adding one little special thing if that condition matches. Alrighty. What's next? Okay, so cool. Now that the user can edit songs, we can edit it to our liking, right? I could say instead of the Pleasant Pheasant, maybe it's the Pleasant Penguin or something. And then we'll change the jazz to like, let's make it a metal song. The composer is going to be me now. I'm going to plagiarize, right? So now the user can edit however they wish. All right, awesome. So I'm ready to now actually do the edit itself. So this edit form, all it's doing is allowing us to, it's giving us it's pre-filling information. It's going to allow us to change it. However, I'm not going to be able to actually edit the song until I click submit. And let's take a look at this thing. So this is a form as usual. We have a form here. This is an edit song form. And notice how it has an action called edit confirmation. So when I click on submit, we're going to go to edit confirmation.php, and it's going to send it via post. All right, so let's go ahead and save this real quick, make sure it's saved, and let's go ahead and open up. We can actually close everything else right now, and we can open up edit confirmation.php. Okay. So when I click submit, we're going to go to edit confirmation.php, and I'm already handling, this is the required, make sure required fields are set, like the track, right? We just want to make sure track name and genre is set. That's good. Otherwise, we can connect. But before I even do that, let's go ahead and check what information is being passed over. So I'm going to do a quick var dump here before I do anything else. And when you're working with a lot of data, like especially with server-side languages, try to dump out anytime you're like, wait, I don't know what's happening, right? Just try to dump things out a lot. That's very helpful. For example, so from edit form, when I submit this form, it's going to get sent via post. So by the time I go to edit confirmation.php, if I var dump post, it's going to tell me all the things that I got from the previous page. So let's go and dump this out. I just pick a song that you want to edit, just edit something on it, and click submit. Now we're going to get to this. Now we're going to get to edit confirmation. And notice how up here I dumped everything out. The track name I got from the previous page was Pleasant Penguin. The genre is number 3, and then string, the composer is myself. And notice how because this is a post, we sent this via post, we're not gonna see the URLs up here, so we kind of have to rely on dumping out sometimes when I want to see what values just got passed over. So we just right here, quick check. Okay, so cool. We got some information passed over. Awesome. Now that we've got the necessary information passed over, we need to go ahead and perform the action. We need to query the database. We need to actually update this song. Okay, so to do that, let's go ahead and first we got to bring in our config file with all of our database credentials up here. So let's do config/config.php. Okay, and then we have that, okay. And then scroll down here, so we're going to make sure the required fields are set. And then otherwise, we're going to connect to the database. So let's go ahead and uncomment all of this. Go ahead and highlight all of this and do command/ or control/, and you can toggle the comments here. Okay, and then now we're able to connect using the constants again. And then I also gave you the code for optional fields. So the composer is optional, right? So I'm depending on if the user filled it or not, I'm saying null or it's set. So we did this on Tuesday. Okay, and then we're going to close our database connection. Okay, then now that we have all these things, this is where we would typically write, right, this is typically where we say, okay, now that we have all this information together, we would typically do something like this, right? Update tracks, like set name equals, like, right, and all these craziness. This is where we do our fun, crazy, what is it, like track name, right? And then we gotta like make sure it's single quotes, and then like, oh my gosh, like I'm already like hating my life, right? So, yeah, so on and so forth, right? But, so this can get pretty tedious really fast, as you know. And also it's prone to SQL injection attacks, as we talked about earlier with the executed CD's comic. All right. So this is what we would typically do. However, now we're going to try this. Let's go ahead and try that prepared statement step. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and try this out. So when you're working with prepared statements, I'm just writing some extra comments in here so you can always look back to it. Okay, to write a prepared statement, the process is kind of similar, just a little bit different. Let's go ahead and we still have to write SQL, right? Like we can't get away with that because we're working with SQL databases. So I'm gonna SQL prepared. Let's go prepared, right? Okay. Okay, so we're still gonna do, for example, like update. Right? We still want to write a string that contains our SQL information or our SQL statement. So update. Right, we still want the tracks. We're going to update the table called tracks. We're going to set the name of the track to be, we don't know yet. We're going to put a question mark, literally a placeholder, comma. This is actually kind of nicer, right? I don't have to like write it, concatenate a bunch of stuff. Genre ID, question mark, comma. Composers, and the next one. Composer equals question mark. That's it, right? We're just changing the name, the genre ID, the composer. Okay, awesome. We need one last thing, the where clause. Where track ID equals question mark. Right? Because we want to edit one track at a time. Okay, so it's interesting how we put question marks. Like I think that's actually a good choice of punctuation, because like it's literally like we don't, right? All right, so we set these placeholders. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and next thing we're going to do is we're going to bind these parameters, these like question marks. We're going to fill up our question marks here. Just kidding. We'll be right before we do that. Let's go ahead and put it through MySQLi. We're going to prepare this. We're going to prepare this. The first step is to prepare the statement. We're going to store it in a variable called statement. Okay, so, we're just putting in a method called prepare. And then we're going to bind the parameter. Okay, and the first parameter, I guess. Okay, in the first parameter, we're in the first argument. We want to specify exactly what data types they should be, and we go in order. Okay, so we know that the track name has to be a string, so I'm going to do S. We know that the genre ID has to be an integer because it's a primary key, so it's going to be an I. What's the third one? The third one, composer, is also a string, right? It's going to be the user needs to type out the composer name, so string. And the last question mark, track ID, is also going to be an integer here. Sissy. Okay? That's it. Comma. Okay, after we've declared which data types, the rest of the arguments are like those variables. Like, what are the variables that are going to go in? It's going to go in the order of my the order of the question mark. First thing is track name, right? So literally this first question mark is going to get replaced with track name. Okay, that one. Okay, comma. The next one is genre ID. Genre ID is coming out through post as well. Genre ID, right? Genre ID. It's coming from here. So, it's genre. Yeah, so let's double check my post variables. Track name, and this is genre, not genre ID. Genre. Comma, next one is composer. Composer, I set a variable up here like this. It's an optional field. So it might be null, that's why we're covering this. So it's just composer like that. And then lastly is my track ID. Ooh, we didn't send the track ID over. Ooh, that's bad. Notice how we're at edit confirmation, but I don't have the track ID. So this is bad because I don't know what song I'm updating. I gotta fix that in a second. But for now, let's go ahead and do track ID for now. Okay. Okay. Once we prepared the SQL statement, we binded the parameters that we put in, we filled in our placeholders, the question marks. We're telling it these are the placeholders should get replaced with these values. Once we have that, we're ready. We're pretty much done. We're ready to execute. We're going to statement and we're going to execute it. And just a quick way to check if this worked or not, you can always do like execute, have another variable and then execute it. This execute method will return false if there's any problems. So I'm going to do executed. Okay, so if I run this code right now, I'm gonna fail because I don't have a track ID right now. But this is how prepared statements work. You first literally prepare the statement, you write the SQL. But instead of putting concatenating variables directly, you're gonna put placeholders at the beginning, and then you fill it up, and then you execute. Yes. Yeah. Here?
Yeah. Why do we need that?
The reason is because like I can't do this, unfortunately. Right? I can't quite do this because I have another quote. I have a double quote here. Yeah. I know. Or else it would have been a lot easier. Somebody mentioned like there's another way you could do this too, but like even this isn't gonna work, right? Like so it gets kind of weird. Yeah. All right, any other questions about this in general? Okay, so I'm going to pause here. Let's go back real quick. So notice how right now, back in my edit form, when I get to edit confirmation, I get track name, I get the genre, I get the composer, but I'm missing a very crucial piece of information. It's my track ID. Like, I need to know what track I'm updating. And I need to know the ID. I can't just use name, because what if there's 2 songs named The Pleasant Penguin, right? Then I'm going to update 2 songs. That's terrible. The only unique column of my track is my track ID. So I need to grab the track ID. So let's go back to my edit form real quick in the code over here. And in my code, in my form, there's actually no place to specify a track ID, right? Because it's not really appropriate. Like the user doesn't even know that the track ID exists. So what we're gonna do to pass along my track ID is in my edit form, I'm gonna scroll down. All right, I'm gonna scroll all the way down. Actually, you could put this wherever, but in my edit form.php, I'm going to scroll all the way down. I'm going to go to around line 155. Okay, and in here, what I'm going to do is pass the track ID to edit confirmation.php by creating a hidden input. Okay, so I'm going to create another input tag, just like I would, just like these guys. These are input tags, right? But instead of text, I'm going to do input hidden, and then I'm going to name this track ID, and then the value of this is going to be whatever, what was it? Echo, road track, what is it up here? Track ID. Okay. The only reason I'm doing this is because my edit confirmation needs my track ID and needs to know what track ID is. And because I can't just, there's no other way to send it over, I'm just putting it in my form as part of my form, and I'm sending it over to edit confirmation.php. All right, so let me make sure that works. In my form, so I'm using a hidden form here, hidden input tag here. I change it to the pleasant penguin instead of the pleasant pheasant. And I'm gonna click on submit here. And hopefully, okay. And then I see that, I don't see my track ID. Let me try that one more time. Let me go back here. I'm gonna refresh. I think I already got changed. Okay, good. Then update. Good. So I refreshed here. I get the pleasant pheasant. I'm gonna go ahead and change this to pleasant penguin. I'm gonna change it to pop maybe, and then composer is gonna be myself. And if I submit this form up here, great. I'm gonna see track name and all this stuff. And then lastly, I see track ID, and the track ID is 128. So I'm passing that over as well. Awesome. And then I'm back in my confirmation page. Hopefully it picked up track ID. It should have picked up track ID. Oh, I think it executed already. Awesome. Oops. Okay. And then there's one way to verify. So when I'm updating, oh, did you have a question? Oh yeah. Okay. So once a prepared statement has been executed, the only way to check that it actually worked is to know how many records were affected. So let's go ahead, and this is how we do it with prepared statements. Very similar. We're going to do statement affected rows. If it equals 1, okay, then we know that it has been updated. We can go ahead and close this statement now. Okay, if they return 1, then I'm going to get is updated true, and then at the bottom here, it's going to trigger my success message down here. Thank you. Okay, so let's test this out, make sure it works. I'm going to go back to my search page. I'm going to start from the beginning so that everything is reset. Hopefully it works. Okay, I'm going to go back to my search form, search for some song, I guess. I'll just go and search. I get all these results back. Let's pick a song here. Eat the Rich. Okay, interesting songs. We Die Young. Okay, why not? Okay, let's click on the We Die Young. And then has all this information. And this has a track ID of 51. Good, okay, 51. I'm gonna edit the track. It looks like this, I'm seeing all the information about this track up here. That's great. Okay, I'm going to change the track name to We Die Old. And I'm gonna make it now a blue song. It's gonna be a more of a sad song. And the composer is gonna be myself again. Because why not? And then let's hope this works. I don't know. We're going to try it. It never works the first time usually. Let's go ahead and click on submit. And, okay, something about, I did get the green message, but it's saying, like, it doesn't know what my track name is. Oh, I also want the track name. I want the track name. Line 92. What the heck? Oh, it shouldn't be get, it should be post over here. I think I messed up here. Okay. Okay, but I'm gonna have to, I'll edit it again, but I'll go back to my details. Oh, good. We Die Old. Oh, compose. Oh, I need to change this. Composer up here. Oh, yeah, I forgot to do this earlier too. Yeah. So my composer, now that I'm using prepared statements, and prepared statements gonna magically convert things to strings and stuff for me. I don't need to I don't need to put my own single quotes anymore. Okay, and then now it's the genre is blues. Great. Let's try this one more time. I'm gonna go back to my results. I'm gonna click a song. Sea of Sorrow. Okay, Sea of Sorrow. It has a track ID of 53. All right, I'm gonna edit this track. Sea of Sorrow, Sea of Joy, and then let's just change this to a pop song. And this composer will be Tommy Trojan. Okay, and let's go ahead and submit this information. Yay, okay, good. Sea of Joy was successfully edited. And then back to my details. I should see Sea of Joy, great, Tommy Trojan, and it's a pop song. Awesome. Okay, I'll scroll down to the prepare statement if you are having any issues with that. And just like last lecture, ultimately, code is code. And if you're getting errors right now, it's probably you missed a semicolon. Or in the morning section, it took me a while. I didn't put a space between my question mark and the where, so I kept getting errors. I was stuck for a little bit in the middle of the lecture. It was kind of embarrassing. But anyway, so code, you just got to practice it, and eventually you get better and better. But I hope right now you're getting the logic behind it, right? How we're doing all this. That's way more important than the itty-bitty, nitty-bitty code itself. Ultimately, what are we doing? We are in the edit form. We are getting the information about the specific song via get, because it was on the URL parameter. In the edit form, we're also pre-filling all of our information by fetching the information from the database. And then finally, when the actual update happens in edit confirmation. We wrote a SQL statement to do that. We wrote a prepared statement because of SQL injections, so on and so forth. Yes?
For the SQL prepare, we need a extra semicolon at
Oh. Here. Yeah, you're right. I do. It looks like that's a good test. It looks like the prepare took care of that too. Prepare just added a semicolon at the end. It probably checks for a semicolon at the end. Good catch. Yeah. It didn't throw an error. That's amazing. Any questions? All right, any questions or concerns okay, I'm happy to talk to you more about it if, this stuff is pretty cool. You're editing things and now we're going to talk about deleting things. So edit is a little bit, as you can see, when it comes to editing, it just takes, there's a number of things to do. But when it comes to deleting something, it's a little bit too simple, right? Literally, when I click delete, it's going to get deleted, which is fine. So deleting is really straightforward. However, when you want to delete something, you got to be very careful, right? So what I'm going to do is when it comes to deleting, I'm going to confirm with the user that I'm going to be like, are you sure you want to delete? So let's take a look at my delete back in my example here. So when I want to delete something, what I did is for each track, I added a delete button. So if I click on delete for Fast as a Shark, for example, it's gonna just delete my Fast as a Shark. But if I just delete it right away, that's an issue. Like what if right now we're talking about not like it's not a technical problem, right? It's very easy to delete things. But what if like a user accidentally clicked the delete button? Right? Like it's totally possible, right? So what I'm gonna add here, and we're gonna go back to our JavaScript days a little bit, not too much, is I'm gonna show this pop-up button and say, are you sure you are about to delete? I guess something like that. I'm gonna say, are you sure you want to delete this? Like, all right, I want to make sure that the user is sure that they want to delete something because deleting is very permanent. So when we're deleting here, before I even run the delete function, I'm going to show a pop-up and say, hey, are you sure you want to delete? Right? So let's go back to let's go to results. If you click on results, as you can see, we have a delete button for each result. So let's go ahead and open up the code for that. You can close confirmation, you can close form now. Let's click on, what is it called? Search results. There you go, search results. And if you scroll down a bit, you will see the while loop around line 99. And it's a while loop to show all my results, all my search results. And then I added an extra table data tag here with the anchor link. And this says delete.php. And it looks like a button, but it's an anchor link. And it's going to link to delete.php. Okay. And it's going to say delete right here. And notice it has a class called delete.btn right here as well. Okay, the first thing I want to do, just like with anything else, I want to make sure that when I click on delete, it's a very unique delete. Like I'm only deleting that specific thing. So I'm going to pass in here, !track ID again. I'm going to pass in track ID. I'm going to say PHP echo here. I'm going to say, hey, I'm deleting, what is this? What do I have up here? Song results. What do I have? Oh, it's get. Okay, I'm going to get. Oh, no, this is row. This is row because I'm running through my row. Right, I'm running through my results. I'm going to go get my track ID. Okay, so now if I save this, refresh, I'll come back to the code a bit. If I hover over delete, I should see, okay, I'm going to delete track. I'm going to tell delete to delete track ID 1. I'm going to pass over the correct track ID to delete.php. So in my delete PHP, I also want to inform the user what track was deleted. So I'm going to add one more piece of information here. I'm going to do the ampersand here. I'm going to do track name as well. I'm going to track name. So I'm passing two pieces of information. I'm going to echo out row name here. I think it's row name. Or no, row track. Sorry, track. This is basically that, yeah. So now if I come back to the code a bit, now if I kind of hover over the delete here, now you can see how we're pending the track ID as well as the track name. Okay, and then what's going to happen then is I'm going to go to delete.php, right? I'm going to go to delete.php, and then I'm going to delete it, right? But that's very scary, like I mentioned. Very, very scary. Anybody can accidentally delete something, and then you just delete it, and it's gone. And then that's, and so we want to prevent some accidents as well. So this is, again, this is like, instead of being technically, it's very easy to delete things, but we got to think about users that are going to be using our website. We don't want them to accidentally delete stuff. So as a result, I'm going to add an extra step before I delete. I'm going to show that pop-up and say, hey, are you sure you want to delete? If they click yes, then I'll take them to delete.php, right? Otherwise, I won't allow my user to go to delete.php. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that out. So anytime we were thinking of users and when the user clicks on something, so on and so forth, we got to work with JavaScript. So if you recall, PHP only works on the server side. So by the time the user sees this page, all the PHP code is already executed. PHP is done. So by the time we get to this page, if I want to do anything else on this page, it's got to be JavaScript that does something. So for example, if I want to show the pop-up, then JavaScript has to handle it. So if you recall, this anchor button here, this anchor link here has a class called delete btn. So each of these buttons have a class called delete btn. If I scroll down, to around line 129 or so, do you remember this at all? I hope you didn't forget JavaScript already. This is JavaScript. Remember the script tag? And I have written some JavaScript already for you here. I've selected all my delete buttons using query selector all. I'm going to run through all of them, and I'm going to detect the moment a delete button is clicked, I'm going to show a pop-up here. Okay, so remember we had like the alert. Do you remember how we could have that pop-up button using alert? However, we can do one better. There's another There's another pop-up called confirm, and it gives us two options, a yes or no, or okay or cancel. So we're going to use this confirm method here, and we're going to say, are you sure you want to delete this button? Not delete this button. Oh my gosh. Delete this track. Okay, so let's try that out. So in search result, I simply added this confirm pop-up here. Are you sure you want to delete this track? Let's go ahead and refresh. I'm going to refresh here. So now let's click on this first one. If I click on delete, it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to delete this track? And if I click OK, it's going to send me to delete.php, which I haven't deleted yet, so it's okay, right? Back to search results. If I click on delete, again, I see that pop up. Oh, let's try a different song, actually. Oops. Let's try a different song, Spellbound, and I click on this one. It's going to say, are you sure you want to delete this track? And if I click cancel, what I need to do is if I click cancel, I want it to stay on this page, right? I want to stop the default behavior. Ooh, does that ring a bell? Prevent default behavior. And I want it to stay. Oh, it went over, right? I want it to stay if I click cancel. Okay, so I'm using JavaScript to interrupt some default behavior, which we've done before. So we're going to use something along the lines. In the past, we've used like event.prevent default, for example, right? But unfortunately, it's not going to quite do the trick because event prevent default prevents the behavior, but then it doesn't, like if I wanted to continue the behavior, it won't allow me to do so. And not in this case, not with the link. So this is what I'm going to do. There's something called return. Every method function in JavaScript returns something. If it returns false, return false is just like prevent default. Okay, return false is like event prevent default. It prevents the default behavior. In this case, it prevents the page to go to delete.php. Okay, and I could do even one better. And another piece of information that's important is confirm returns true if user clicked OK, and false if user clicked cancel. Knowing these two pieces of information, we can make our code pretty elegant and sweet like that. It looks a little odd maybe, but this is valid, very valid in JavaScript. I'm going to make this bigger. Okay, so what happens is when I click on a delete button, this confirm method is going to show up right away. This alert is going to pop up. It's going to pause everything for a second. If the user clicks OK, it's going to return true. It's going to say return true. Right, so then we go to the next page. If the user clicks cancel, then confirm is going to say false. So it's going to say return false. So then we prevent the default. So this is kind of like a little I think it's pretty elegant way to kind of prevent your user from continuing on. Yes. Yes. What happens if they press delete before the page loads? What do you mean, like
if you have like a ton of results and it takes a while for all the results to come in. Since you're doing the script at the end, then you just delete right away.
Yeah. So, couple ways you might want to prevent it is, so that's actually one of the reasons why when you're loading a bunch of results, a lot of places don't like to display so many results at once. You can make sure you only display 10 results at a time. Or another thing people do is you preload all the results first, but then you don't actually, so it's all preloaded, but you don't actually see it visibly. It's like all visible hidden until those results are hidden, and then you show it. So it's like you. Yeah. You can do that too. Yeah, you can write inline JavaScript as well. Yeah. I just don't like writing inline JavaScript, but yeah, you can do that actually. Yeah, you're right. You could say, you can do up here in your, where'd you go? In your delete, right over here, you can do like an on-click. That's true. You can do on-click as well, so that the on-click is only bound to only that specific delete button. Yep, that's okay too. Yeah, maybe that is a better implementation now I think about it. It just looks it's gonna look so ugly though. It's gotta be like this. It's gonna be like on click, like return, like like confirm, like you know.
You can do return and then the function and then write the function.
Oh, okay. Oh, but well, I'm gonna need this confirm. Oh, I guess I see what you mean. Do like a hello.
Like passing the event so you can access the target.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can do that. Yeah. Either way. So if we continue this way, then let's go and save this over. Let's go ahead and try this out. So I'm going to refresh, and I am going to delete Princess of the Dawn. I'm going to delete it. And then it says, are you sure you want to delete this track? If I click cancel, it should stay. Great. If I click OK, it's going to take me to delete.php. Awesome. Let's go to delete.php then, and let's finally delete the thing. So this is my JavaScript here. And then yeah, and then so now let's go to delete.php, and this is where we'll do the usual it's going to uncomment this out, and then this is where we'll do the usual delete things. We will we're going to write our SQL statement, whether you write it in a prepared statement or the way we've always done it here. Either way, equals so on and so forth. Yeah, and then let's go ahead and run the query here. Maybe I should have done the prepared way, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Echo, it does matter, but you get the gist, right? We're going to do error. We're going to exit out. We're going to make sure it went through. Is deleted is true, so on and so forth. And then we gotta exit our code, right? So the same old stuff, just different statements. And let's scroll all the way down to is deleted. All right, so let's try it out. Really, it's okay if your code is not working for delete at this point, but you get, as long as you get the gist, right? You understand the logic behind it. We're simply grabbing the track ID and we're going to delete it from the table. If it's true, we're going to set up, if the query went through, we're going to set a variable called isDelete. It's going to be true, and we're going to show a message. So let me go back to my search results. Let's go and delete something. One thing you got to watch out for when you're deleting something, though, let's try to delete this one. Restless in a while. Let's go ahead and delete this one. Let's see what it says. I'm going to get, oh, yes, I have, oh, gosh. Okay, let me go and require up here, require config.php. Let me go and refresh. And then I have some other information here. Oh, yes, I didn't do this. Yes. All right. Okay, yeah, so this is what I wanted to get at. So you got to be careful when you, not careful, but just something to watch out for is when you're deleting a record. Remember we talked about this when we talked about delete a long time ago? When you're deleting a record, but another table is referencing that record, by default, it's going to say, hey, you can't delete me because another table is referencing me. So let's say I'm trying to delete a genre called the jazz genre. It's not going to let me delete the jazz genre because another table is using it. So you just got to watch out for this. So in the song database, the way it's structured is it actually also tracks who purchased a track. So there's another table that's keeping track of what customer bought what track. So that's why it's failing here. But if I wanted to if I wanted to delete a song that wasn't referencing another table here, I think I have like a song called Hello 303. Oh, 303 is awesome. Or somebody made these. I don't know. Wait, I didn't make this. Okay. Awesome. Okay. I guess you guys, some of you are using my database. Okay. Anyway, so let's say I'm going to delete my Hello 303 p.m. If I delete this, I should be deleting it. Yay. Hello 303 p.m. was deleted. I gotta go back to my results. Okay, my results are gonna show everything. Whoops, I gotta go back to my search results. Let's do 303, and then 303 is, yep, 303 is gone. Okay, one last thing I want to tell, I made a Piazza post about this, but one last thing I want to mention is that once you upload, the browser likes to cache old results. So if you're having issues like seeing the latest results, try click hard refreshing by clicking shift and refresh, and then you should be able to see your latest results. So just watch out for that. Browsers like to cache things. Okay, yes.
So just to be clear, when you get the foreign key
Yeah.
fails cannot update
Yeah.
a parent file, what do you do?
Nothing, like at this point we don't care about it. Just don't worry about it. You won't get it in your DVD assignment. It's just that in my songs, it's connected to another table. But yeah. Yes.
I think something else worth mentioning is that a lot of times when you're testing your insert,
Yeah.
that people just put like a tag for like something that's only one thing's required.
Yeah.
But then when something else is null and you do a join statement, it won't show up in your results. A lot of times you have to do a
Left join. Oh yeah, I didn't. Thanks for I was gonna talk about left join. I totally forgot. Yes. So another reason why things might not show up for you is because you might be using join, which is fine actually for most cases. However, if you recall, your joins are going to only join if a genre ID exists. So if you had a song that didn't have a genre, it might not show up in your results. So to be safe, go ahead and do left join if you'd like. Left join just automatically includes all of your songs or all of your DVDs plus any matches from depending on which table you're joining. So yes. Thanks for pointing that out. Yep, left join is very useful in this case. All right, that's it. If you have any questions, I'll stick around. Otherwise, have a great weekend. And you have an assignment due on Monday, as usual. And that's it.